attacks. You see, it's a man who has been in the world title picture for almost a year. It's a man who has been off at me and jealous of me for a very long time. A man who's jealous of you, Austin Aries. And a man who is scheduled to face you, Kurt Angle, right here last week on Impact. That's right! The man behind the aces and ace, the man doing all these attacks is none other than your buddy, your hero, the Cowboy, James Storm. Think about it, gentlemen. I've known this man for over 4 years. The jealousy this man has. How he manipulates people. The man is a piece of crap.
James Storm absolutely infuriated at the claims of Bobby Roode.
Those are some heavy-duty accusations by Roode about the Cowboy. And look at this. Oh, here we go.
Oh, intense physicality between the Cowboy, James Storm, and Bobby Roode.
They just see that Storm is furious. I don't blame him. I mean, you know, to claim something like that Storm is behind aces and eights.
And how about Sting just standing back and watching? He's letting these two guys beat the hell out of each other.
Wow, what a shot hit by Storm. And then eventually have to be, Kurt Angle getting in there, breaking it up.
Of Bobby Roode. He insists that James Storm is the man behind aces and eights.
And now, more Pro Wrestling Weekly with your host, Fearon Derry.
Sit down, shut up, and listen up.
Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Derry here with you alongside RC from Completely Damaged. Also out in the green room, we've got Madman Moose Maretti as well as Ratboy, all here for a special birthday bash edition. A lot of stuff going on with Pro Wrestling Weekly. A lot of Facebook feedback as well. Let me chime into some of it here. Dan chiming in from Chicago. Happy birthday, Fearon. Let's get Pro Wrestling Weekly to its epic 1,000th. How many more do we have to go? Well, as I said, this is episode 159 of Pro Wrestling Weekly, so I've got 841 to go, which I just did the math during the break. If I didn't take any breaks and just did consecutive weeks, I'd have to go a little over 16 years, so we'd be looking around the fall of 2028 to get to 1,000. So that shows you what kind of a lengthy milestone Monday Night Raw getting to 1,000 episodes being a weekly program, and how it took them almost 20 years to do. Now, if I wanted to cheat, I could count all the episodes that Eric Gargiulo did before me, and that would get us a lot closer, but I'd have to get those stats from him, and I don't know if he's willing to give those up. Those are his. He'll hang on to those like they're his accomplishments, but I don't know. We'll get in the negotiations of that and see if we can get an actual total. As far as people's thoughts on the best moment from Raw 1000, Dan also chiming in. Mine was DX returning, very funny with Billy Gunn and Shawn Michaels. Of course, the two of them debating who should deliver the "and if you're not down with that" line, and of course a little crack about Shawn losing his smile. Lots of classic references. John, I don't even know he just simply put the hand, of course, referring to kind of a little play on one of the more questionable payoffs to a storyline in wrestling history. Of course, Mae Young and the pregnancy with Mark Henry. That. Yeah, and Of course, in one of the backstage vignettes, there was a man in a hand costume, presumably, the baby hand all grown up. Yeah, it was one of those things where it was cringeworthy, but at the same time, you had to chuckle at the fact that they kind of poked fun at themselves.
That's true.
Bob also chiming in 2 words for Ratboy, rat trap. Good job, Bob. And John, of course, chiming in as well on the Kevin Nash discussion. Chip Chipperson was inside the Super Shredder costume. Again, more Kevin Nash references. He goes to say, sadly, though, his performance in that is leaps and bounds better than any other wrestler in any other movie, period. That probably could be a whole show discussion, is the best and worst wrestlers as actors in particular movies, and we can certainly kick that around. Now, you heard in the clip coming out of the break, of course, from Impact, the continued questions regarding the Aces and Eights group, which, I don't know, I kind of wish they had gone with obviously, the Aces and Eights referring to Dead Man's Hand. I think that sounds like a much better name.
Yeah, I agree.
For a group. But I guess, people being... I'm sure somebody would be offended about the name and, probably think that it's like an allusion to Chris Benoit or something. So that's probably why they went with the safer but a little bit more confusing Aces and Eights group name.
Any idea of who you think is going to be?
Who's in the group? I mean, it's definitely a toss-up at this point, but I think they need to at least give some sort of a development, as the just constant attacks are going to get a little bit stale if they keep doing it. If they're kind of going with this whole TNA against Aces and Eights thing, it sounds just like, I don't know, WCW against the NWO from 16 years ago.
Yep.
So you have to figure out how to not, how to kind of take something classic like that, but revamp it in a way that it doesn't sound stale or doesn't seem like it's an exact copycat of something that was already done that most wrestling fans, young and old, are familiar with.
Yeah,
at least in some capacity.
I had the feeling it's Joey Ryan, probably Chris Masters, because since
his name's been thrown out there a lot,
and he wrestled in India for that Raw King.
Yeah, the Ring Ka King.
Ring Ka King. So, yeah, you never know.
Certainly some possibilities. Let's go back to the phones, and we'll get to Ron, who's been waiting patiently. Ron in Levittown, you're on Pro Wrestling Weekly.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, Ron. What's on your mind?
I was supposed to be there. Ratboy was supposed to take me. He probably forgot.
Ratboy, anyway, he's smiling and shaking his head. He's putting his head in his hands in the lobby here.
He better show up at my house today. And he owes me one.
Yeah,
listen.
He says you owe him one.
TNA on Thursday night.
Okay, he's going to call.
All right. Well, I didn't see Thursday night's TNA because we had a thunderstorm. So, how did Chavo Guerrero do?
Well, he initially came out. He delivered kind of a bit of a speech promo type thing. Talked a lot about the history of the Guerrero family, and he was interrupted by Kid Cash and Gunner, who kind of ran him down a little bit. Kind of talked bad about the Guerrero family and the legacy and all that, and they ended up kind of 2-on-1 double teaming him, and Hernandez came out to make the save, which kind of makes me worry a little bit that they might be kind of trying to revive the group Mexican America, but putting Chavo Guerrero in there with Hernandez. I don't know. There's just, I guess, there's some need to put all of the Hispanics and Mexicans together. I mean, they've been doing that for a while with TNA.
Been there, done that.
Yeah.
Is he coming back as a heel? Is he coming back as a babyface or what?
It seems like right now they're kind of going babyface with Chavo. Kind of playing up the family, the legacy of the Guerrero family, that whole deal.
Well, let me refresh my memory. I mean, wasn't it Chavo's uncle who was in charge of them? The Mexican American? Wasn't it Hector? I remember.
Well, Hector's part of the TNA crew. He's part of the Spanish broadcast team.
But wasn't he in charge of them at one time?
I think briefly that they've had so many combinations. It's hard to keep track. That might have to be either a blog or a topic point as well as the top 10 Hispanic factions in wrestling history, because you could probably name at least 20. I mean,
I didn't quite hear the intro. I mean, I was saying they said James Storm is head of this.
That is that's the allegation that Bobby Roode is throwing out there, and
that's all. It's an allegation. It's not a fact. So
no. That's something that Bobby Roode's throwing out there, because in the Open to Impact on Thursday, Sting came out, called out Aces and Eights, and then next thing you know, Austin Aries comes out. He wants to fight alongside Sting, and then Kurt Angle comes out, and Bobby Roode basically says, "Well, now wait a minute," and that's where you heard the clip there. James Storm, he's alleging is the leader of Aces and Eights, and Storm came out and got into a scuffle, intense physicality, as Mike Tenay said, between James Storm and Bobby Roode. And then later in the night, Storm was taking on AJ Styles, and Aces and Eights came out and just attacked Styles and not Storm, again kind of planting that seed in. And then near the end of the night, another attack by Aces and Eights in the main event match of Kurt Angle against Bully Ray in a Bound for Glory series match. After the match, Angle won, but Angle was attacked by Aces and Eights. Aries, Sting, and Styles came out to make the save. Storm came out late, so they're kind of playing up why was there a delay in Storm getting there? And that leads to this coming Thursday, we've got Kurt Angle against James Storm in a Bound for Glory series match.
Should be a good match. Do you still think Jeff Jarrett might be behind the Sultan?
He's a name that we haven't heard out there, and it would be certainly a nice swerve to get to that point, but not one of those Vince Russo swerve for the sake of swerving. I mean, there's at least some logic behind it. There are a couple of little things they'd have to tie together, but why they're attacking certain people, but the fact that they haven't cut any kind of promo or made their indications clear, they certainly have time to plan that out. Maybe that's why they've just been doing these attacks, to get an idea of what direction do they want to go with this verbally.
Well, you mentioned Jeff Jarrett a few weeks back, and I mean, Jeff Jarrett has been in charge of the company in 3-4 months now. I mean, maybe it's his time, come back again, take over the company again from Dixie Carter.
Well, I know he's been involved with the stuff going on over in India, the Ring Ka King. He's been kind of putting his efforts into that, and I think that time away from the American TV cameras will do him some good, because it'll refresh him a little bit. It'll make him seem fresh coming back, having been off camera for so long.
It'll be nice. I was just reading on the computer yesterday that I hear that Great Khali had some kind of brain surgery.
Yes. One of our news and notes here. The Great Khali, he had a tumor removed from his pituitary gland. That was this past Wednesday. He underwent surgery at UPMC Presbyterian in Pittsburgh, and the procedure was performed by Dr. Joseph Maroon, who is the medical director for the WWE. The tumor could have led to acromegaly, which could be fatal if not treated. That was the condition that Andre the Giant, of course, had, and that was basically where, because the tumor was, I know I'm not exactly a medical major nor a doctor, nor do I play one on TV or radio, but I'll still throw it out there anyway, that if the tumor, if it remains in contact and keeps that pituitary gland active, I mean, that's like what causes your growth. So even at 39 years old, Khali could still be growing, considering that he's already 7'2" and 400+ pounds. As long as that pituitary gland's active because of the tumor, he could have kept growing had it not been treated all the way up until the day he died. Kind of like what happened with Andre the Giant.
I'm also reading that he may not return.
Well, I mean, the surgery was just 3 days ago, so there's obviously a long road ahead as far as recovery to see what he still can do. I mean, a lot of wrestling fans could argue that it wasn't that much that he could do when he was in the ring, but that's neither here nor there.
Well, I'm going to actually be the first to say I didn't like Raw for Monday night. I didn't like it. I mean, I like CM Punk. I mean, the direction they're doing with him again, and I don't know if there's going to be heel or he's going to be a babyface. I don't know. I just gotten confused, but when he gave the guy to go to sleep there with The Rock. So, I mean, I was like, was it tit for tat or what? I don't know. I mean, I just don't know. I mean, is he going to be a heel? If he's going to be a heel, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It'd be a good match between The Rock and him, but, I think John Cena should have that crack again.
Well, the issue is, if you're going to turn CM Punk heel, the only way to do that, I mean, who are you going to have him attack? If they have him beat up Cena in that regard, he's going to be cheered.
Yeah.
If you have him beat up, I don't know, Triple H, maybe, but I mean, he's involved with everything with Brock Lesnar, so that just wouldn't seem to make sense. I mean, there's nobody on the roster that if CM Punk attacked, he would be at least majority vehemently booed, let alone, totally, other than The Rock, who is a clear fan favorite and pretty much has been since doing his since coming back after his first movie thing.
Say, I listened to an interview that he said that he made a mistake going into this, doing this so soon, cashing in. Yeah, he's the first person that's never won a championship in cashing in, and he said that he shouldn't have done this. He said he went in with his eyes closed. He said that he should give it a little few, maybe a couple of months or so. He just rushed into it. I guess he feel like he was forced into it to do it. McMahon must have forced him into doing it. So,
that I'm not really sure of. Kind of hard to say.
He's the first one that didn't win the championship at the cashing in. It's a shame. But.
Oh no, he has officially cashed it in. So yeah, I mean, they may not make a big deal about it, but he will be the first Money in the Bank winner to unsuccessfully cash in the briefcase and not come away with the title. So okay, now it's 12-1.
Both Brock Lesnar and Triple H. That's more of a main event for WrestleMania than SummerSlam. SummerSlam, it could make the ratings go a little high, maybe higher than any WrestleMania match ever will.
I don't know about that. I mean,
go either way.
That's like saying that a Sunday night football game in November is going to draw better ratings than the Super Bowl. It's just that's something that doesn't necessarily happen. Thanks so much for the call, Ron. I'm up against a break.
Tell Ratboy to call me.
Okay, right. He can hear you out there. With we got speakers in the lobby there. All right, let's take care of our second bit of business. We'll come back. We've got more Facebook feedback. We've got open lines, so there's still certainly time for you to get in. Let me give you the numbers: 215-949-3232, as well as toll free at 888-922-2149. Those are the ways to reach us via the phones. You can also hit us up on Facebook, and the Facebook fan page is buzzing to say the least. You can look it up at WBCB Pro Wrestling Weekly. We've got comments from Eric from the Minnesota Wrecking Crew we'll have to get to on the other side, as well as a little bit more from John from the Northeast. And Mike on there has a question for you, RC. We'll have to... Yeah, really.
Okay.
No Miz statement there, really. All that and more coming up here on Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.